of our native land. We're forced to reside on foreign land. Still to all of this turmoil, running like a child, so free as a river Nile. Though at times we've been so vile, every now and then here's a chance to smile. Oh, to smile, if only for a while. Say, won't you smile, if only for a while. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Say, won't you smile, say, won't you smile, say, won't you smile. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Say, won't you smile, say, won't you smile, say, won't you smile.
Man lose so much in a life, but me still not worry myself. As sure as the sun shine, long as me got health and strength. Oh, I know, once there's life, there is hope around the corner. So I smoke marijuana just to cope with the drama. Everything is gonna be alright. Be alright, yeah. I'm taking it one day, one day, one day at a time. Cause me know that one day, one day, one day I will shine. I'm taking it one day, one day, one day, one day I'll rise, yeah. One day I'll shine.
All right, thank you all for tuning in to WGHC LP 98.3 FM. And you're listening live to my show, Money Talks, where all we talk is money, entrepreneur, and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises, LLC, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. So what we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including my marquee company, which is Badu Tax Services, and that's the firm that does tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation for individuals and businesses across all 50 states in the U.S., and we also have clients in over 25 countries. On top of that, I have my real estate investment company, which is Badu Investments, LLC, which invests in apartment buildings, mainly on the south side of Chicago, in efforts to restore traditionally underserved communities. Then we have the Badu Foundation, where we provide financial literacy education to the youth ages 6 through 18, and we teach them on budgeting, saving, investing, and scholarships. Right? So the same thing I'm teaching on the radio, we put that into a program for the students. And my purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. So once again, you're tuned in to WGHC LP Chicago 98.3 FM. You can also listen live on our website, WGHCradio.org. You can, we're live streaming on Facebook, and then we're also live streaming on Instagram. So thank you to everyone for joining. Today we'll be talking about the process to buying your first investment property. So the step-by-step process. Some people are like, man, what do I do, right? It's like, where do I go? Who do I talk to? What do I do next? It's always these questions. And so with that, today I'm providing a very, very simplified format so that you can understand the process, the methodology that goes behind the scenes in actually buying your first investment property. So we'll be going through step by step on how to get that accomplished. Before that, as usual, let's just take maybe 5 to 10 minutes, talk about a market report, and sorry for the late start today. So this report is as of July 23rd, 2021. Last week proved to be a choppy one for stocks. The week began with stocks trending lower on news of a spike in the number of coronavirus COVID-19 cases. However, strong corporate earnings reports help support the perception that the economy is continuing to advance despite the cloud of the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus that's hanging overhead. By last Friday, both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 ultimately reached record highs, with mega cap tech stocks helping drive the indexes upward. The NASDAQ, which by the way is composed of the top technology stocks in the U.S., gained 2.8% to lead the major benchmark indexes. And then you had the Russell 2000, S&P 500, which is composed of the top 500 stocks or companies in the U.S. You had the Dow, and then you also had the global Dow. So let's start with last Monday. What happened last Monday? So there was a spike in COVID-19 cases. Of course, investors don't like this because it slows down businesses, both domestically and abroad. And that put a damper on the economic recovery. Investors shield away from stocks and move towards bonds, which they tend to do, driving prices higher and yields ultimately lower. All right. So with that, the S&P 500 dropped the most in 2 months. The Dow had its largest decline since October, and the small caps of the Russell 2000 continued to sink, falling nearly 10% since the peak in March. So last Monday was not the best day in the market, basically. And real quick, let me take some time to shout out to those who are listening on Facebook and Instagram. If you don't mind just typing in the chat where you're listening from, right? It's always nice so that we can shout you out. And also, if you can like and share this video, it's always helpful so that we can get more people to listen to this valuable information, right? Talking about the process to actually buying your first home. So let us know where you're listening from. And then if you can like and share the video, it's always greatly appreciated. All right. Jennifer says, let's see, or Jennifer.Mark, right, says ATL from Instagram. Definitely appreciate you for sharing that. All right. So let's talk about last Tuesday. Let's see what happened last Tuesday in the market. Wall Street closed higher last Tuesday. And let's see, rebounding from a multi-session losing streak. Several strong corporate earnings reports helped renew investor optimism, at least temporarily, in a reviving economy. All right, so the Russell 2000 went up 3%. The Dow and the NASDAQ went up 1.6%. S&P 500 went up 1.5%. And then the global Dow went up 1%. Absolutely. So the market recovered a little bit last Tuesday. Not too bad. All right, shout out to Ola. Listen from Calgary, Canada. Absolutely got some international folks today. All right, so let's talk about last Wednesday. What happened in the market last Wednesday? Stocks advanced for the second straight day last Wednesday. Robust corporate earnings, and this is very important to pay attention to. Robust corporate earnings reports helped fuel renewed optimism in the economy despite increasing coronavirus cases and inflation. So the high corporate earnings, or the better than expected corporate earnings, overshadowed basically the whole pandemic issue. Russell 2000 went up 1.7%. The global Dow went up 1.5%. The NASDAQ went up 0.9%. The Dow and the S&P 500 went up 0.8%. All right, so last Wednesday was pretty good. Let's talk about last Thursday. Equities closed last Thursday mostly higher, with only the Russell 2000 losing ground. All right, so technology ultimately led the market sectors. So it was a pretty decent day on Thursday. So we had 3 straight days of stocks essentially going up. So let's talk about Friday. And Friday is my favorite day of the week, by the way. Let's see how that panned out. All right, so last Friday, another round of robust corporate earnings reports or profits helped push stocks to record highs last Friday. Right, surging earnings are reflecting an ongoing rise in economic activity, possibly allaying fears that stocks are overvalued. NASDAQ and the S&P 500 went up 1%. The Dow went up 0.7%. Russell 2000 went up 0.5%. And then you had the global Dow, which went up 0.4%. So Overall, last week was a pretty good week in the market, actually. Not too bad. Let's see here. Dow Jones is up 14.56% so far this year. NASDAQ is up 15.12%. S&P 500, holy cow, is up 17.46%. 17.46%. Shout out to the S&P 500. Russell 2000 is up 11.89%. The global Dow is up 13.73%, and interest rates are at a dead 0%. So that's the market report right there. If you're not invested in the market, I strongly recommend you get in somehow. Let's talk about what to expect this week. Just a few things real quick. There's plenty of important market movement economic information available this week. For example, the FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, is meeting this week. And they basically help with the interest rates and also the bond purchasing program. And inflation has been trending higher in conjunction with an improving economy. At some point, the committee will begin to scale back the quantitative easing, aka printing money, measures currently in place, which will likely have a direct impact on the market. So they want to slow down on the money printing, which is a good thing in many cases. Also, the second estimate of gross domestic product, or GDP, for the second quarter is available this week. The initial estimate showed that the economy expanded. So the economy expanded at an annualized rate of 6.4% in the second quarter. Absolutely. So if you're not invested in the market, get in, right? Get in however way you can. Get in the market however way you can. So if you're tuning in just now, thank you once again. We're live today on WGHC LP 98.3 FM Chicago. So if you're in your car, you can literally tune in to 98.3 FM if you're in Chicago. Or you can go to WGHCradio.org, and you can also tune in that way. And we're streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on Instagram. So if you haven't already, just type in the chat where you're listening from. And then if you can like and share this video, it's always greatly appreciated. Or tag a friend, right? Let somebody know that you're listening to this. It's always important to notate that. All right, so today we're talking about the process, the step-by-step process to buying your first investment property. People ask me all the time, hey, Jeff, how do I go about buying a home? What's the process looking like? So today we're literally going to talk about just that. The step-by-step process to buying your first home. So if somebody asks you, hey, what's the step-by-step process to buying your first investment property? Send them this video. It will be recorded. It will be posted on my Facebook. It will be posted on my Instagram. So feel free to like it and feel free to share it and watch it, with your friends, with your family, whoever it is that you believe will benefit from this information. So let's talk about it. Step-by-step process to buying your first home. First of all, there's nothing like owning an investment property. They talk about the American dream, which in my opinion is to own a business and to buy real estate. Right? Own a business and to buy real estate. By the way, this step-by-step guide can be applied to your personal home as well. It's not just for investment properties, but I do recommend the first property you buy should be an investment property. It should be a 4-unit apartment building utilizing the FHA, Federal Housing Administration loan, where you can buy up to a 4-unit building with as little as 3.5% down payment, and even the government can subsidize that down payment in the form of a down payment assistance program. You can't get any better than that, right? You definitely can't get any better than that. You're telling me that the government can give you money to create wealth, to buy an asset like real estate and put tenants in there to pay you every single month. Wow, that's quite incredible. And so with that being said, people also ask, well, when is the right time to buy? I say now's the right time to buy. There's never a wrong time to buy real estate. You should always be buying real estate. Forget about the whole, the market is overpriced. Who cares? Right? Because even if it's overpriced now, it's going to be more overpriced in the future. And shout out to Cam Brown for tuning in on IG, Instagram. Right? So even if the market is overpriced, it doesn't really matter. Because the market is going to go back. It's going to go up no matter what. And if it goes down, then all you really got to do is hold it out, collect your rent, get your money, hold it out, and wait till the market price goes back up. You know, to be honest, if you bought a property for $100,000, does it really mean anything whether it goes down to 0 or 200,000 if you're collecting money every single month and you plan to hold this property for the rest of your life? Feel free to type in the chat. If you bought a property for $100,000 right now, does it really matter if that property went down in value to 0 or to $200,000? Does it truly matter if you're collecting monthly stable cash flow every single month? Does it really matter? Right? I want to hear some comments. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. Why? Because you're collecting cash flow every single month. Of course, the property will appreciate in value. I don't know a single market that has not appreciated in the past 10 years. Not a single market. Nowhere on this planet. Why? Because things get more expensive over time. There's a thing called inflation, which is the diminishing purchasing power of your money. Right? And shout out to Trevor who's listening on IG. So with that being said, focus on cash flow. That's what truly matters. Don't worry about the price of homes today. Right? The name of the game is cash flow. And Cam Brown says the money is still green. Absolutely. Right? It will go up over time. Inflation is about 2 to 3% every year. Real estate goes up about 6% every year, depending on your market. So you know you're always going to outpace inflation. Here's a nice thing about real estate. Even if you're only putting down 3% of your money and the bank is giving you 97%, you get all the appreciation. So you're not just returning 6% on your money from a value appreciation standpoint. You're actually returning more than that. You're probably more like 100% on your money. Because the thing is, even if the market, even if you only put 3% down on the building, if it goes up in value, you get to keep 100% of the equity or the increase in value. That's beautiful. And you get the cash flow. You get some tax benefits. It's longevity, meaning it'll be here forever. The tenants pay down your mortgage, so they're actually paying down your principal and building you equity. So when you're looking at a real estate deal, don't just look at it from, oh, you know, I'll make $400 a month. Yeah, that's the number one thing we look at. But you do have to look at all the factors, you know. And if you're just now tuning in, welcome to my show, Money Talks, where all we talk is money, live on WJC LP 98.3 FM Chicago. If you're listening on Facebook or Instagram, if you don't mind, type in the chat where you're listening from. And then also if you can like and share this video, it's always helpful for others to get this valuable information that we're listening to. So I want to cover the logistics before we get into the steps, the step-by-step process to actually buying your first home. All right. So when it comes to real estate, it's also a tax shelter. You get tax deductions. Not to get too deep into it, but you get a benefit called depreciation, which basically allows you to get an automatic tax write-off every year for the next 27 and a half years, or however long you decide to hold the property, whichever is longer, right? Or whichever is shorter, actually, in that situation. They even have down payment assistance programs such as NACA, NACA, and also IHDA, Illinois Department of Housing Agency, which allows you to basically buy the home with no money down. You go through a program, you sit in a class, you learn about real estate, and at the end, you'll get an opportunity to get your down payment fully subsidized. I mean, that's crazy, right? So there's so many opportunities to buy real estate, and that's when I look at somebody and I'm like, you know, they're in their career and everything like that. I'm like, why don't you own real estate? If you knew all this, you would be buying it. When I found this stuff out, I'm like, I've got to own every property on this planet. You know, real estate is the name of the game. I'm sitting where my foot is planted. It's planted on real estate, and I challenge you to look under your feet, and you'll probably be saying the same thing right now. And you should always own whatever it is you're standing on. Right? So always keep that in mind. Control your turf. no matter what. Control the money. Control the real estate. And then Instagram. All right, so it looks like we're back on Facebook Live. Instagram, yeah, it looks like we're just having some slight connection issues. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to continue. And then if we do pop back on the IG Live, then we will go ahead and just do a recap, right, for the sake of time. They never want us to be great. But we shall be great no matter what, because we will take advantage of opportunities. Whether or not they're presented to us, we're going to take hold and actually take advantage of all that's given to us. All right, so step one, know your credit score. That's number one. Know what your score is before you buy, right? There's sites that allow you to get free access to your score or your report, such as Credit Karma. So basically, you can check your score. If you don't have Credit Karma, if you don't have transparency over your credit score, I strongly suggest that you go out there and get transparency over it. All right, and then try to stay above a 600. I would say try to stay above a 600 credit score. It just makes you look more credit worthy. You know, so that's just something to keep in mind. And then try to start building credit early. You know, try to build at a very, very young age. If you have any kids, try to start them off early. Get them a credit card, swipe it once, pay it off, and let them build that credit history. You know, so just something to keep that in mind. All right, so let's try to go back on IG Live. Let's see what's happening with that. So step one is to know your credit score. Always know your credit score. Know what you're working with, so that you don't end up in a rabbit hole, essentially, when it comes to your credit. All right, let me check what's going on IG Live. It looks like we lost connection. Yeah, good old Xfinity, right? They work when they want to work. That's the thing. So let me try to reconnect on the Xfinity and let's see what's going on. Facebook, we're already good there. So let me get back on the IG Live real quick, and let's see what's happening with that. And thank you everyone once again for tuning in. All right, so let's get back on the IG Live. All right, there we go. So it looks like we made it back on Instagram, on IG. So if I froze a little bit or something like that, please bear with us. All right. So step number one is to know your credit score. Basically, understand what your credit is. I would say at least a 600 is, try to aim for at least a 600 credit score. Step two is to know your debt to income ratio. This is simply the amount of money you owe every month divided by your monthly income. So this includes your student loans, your card notes, whatever it is, whatever loans you have, the monthly payments. This is not just bills, but this is loans. Your monthly payments on your loans divided by your monthly income, that equals your debt to income ratio. So for example, let's say you pay $300 per month for your loans. Let's say your student loans. You divide that by your income, let's say $1,000 per month, well, you have a 30% debt to income ratio. Ideally, you should have a debt to income ratio of less than 40%. So less than 40% is the ideal DTI, or debt to income ratio. So it's simply a measure of how much you owe versus how much you make. Try to eliminate credit card debt at all costs. So try to avoid maintaining balances on your credit as far as credit card debts are concerned. And don't worry too much about the student loans. They have programs where they can even pay off some of your student loans, or they won't even factor those into your debt to income ratio. The higher the ratio, the lower your chances are of getting approved for a mortgage. So try to stay below a 40% debt to income ratio. All right, so it looks like the IG Live, I don't know what's going on with IG today, or the internet in general, but it looks like we won't be able to continue with the IG Live. Hopefully it comes back. But we're still on Facebook. We're still on the radio. We're still on WGHCradio.org. So you can listen on WGHCradio.org. All right, so step 1, know your credit score. Try to stay above a 600. Step 2, know your debt to income ratio. Try to stay below a 40%. Step 3 is get a realtor, a real estate agent, which thankfully are free to the buyer. Yes, the buyer to the transaction does not pay for the real estate agent. Once again, if you are the buyer to the transaction, you do not have to pay a real estate agent. The seller is the one that actually pays the commission for the real estate agent. Once again, as the buyer to a real estate building property, you do not have to pay your real estate agent for them to represent you. So just keep that in mind when it comes to buying. All right, let's try to go on IG Live one more time. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll try that out one more time. All right, so that's step 3. And basically the realtor, the real estate agent, is going to allow you to find your property. You know, the real estate agent is going to help you find a property. Now, you should know what you want in the property. You should know what area you want to buy in. You should know how many units. Remember, we go for 4 units, nothing below. We go for straight 4 units, nothing below. You can always do more. And thank you for those who are rejoining on IG Live. I know we had a slight glitch. So if you're back, we definitely appreciate that. Let's just do a quick recap. Step 1 is to know your credit score, which typically you want at least a 600. Step 2 is to know your debt to income ratio, which is your monthly debt payments divided by your monthly income. Try to stay below a 40%. Step 3 is find a good and solid real estate agent. If you need referrals, I have some for you, right? So find a real estate agent who's going to help you in the process, who's going to help you find the right home to buy. And don't get too picky in the process, by the way. Focus on the cash flow that comes with the building. Don't focus on marbles, and don't let the pictures fool you. I know this might be your first property, but don't let the pictures fool you. Understand the value of the investment that you're getting instead of focusing on the pretty stuff, right? The pretty stuff should be the money that's coming into your bank account every single month. That's the pretty stuff. You can do anything you want to a house anytime after buying it. So just keep that in mind. This is one area where I see a lot of people go wrong, and stop buying 2 units or 2 flats. It's not a great investment. My advice, try to get a 4 unit, minimum 4 units. Minimum 4 units. All right. So that's step 3 is find a real estate agent who's going to help you buy this home. This will be a critical piece to your team, and realtors have access to top secret information that's going to help you in the process. And they're also going to help you find additional team members, such as the attorney, the lender, a lot of different people, a lot of different parties to the transaction. Step 4 is the pre-approval process. Very important. You need to know your credit score. You need to know your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So basically, before you search for the home, or in conjunction of searching for the home, you need to know how much you'll be pre-approved for. This is where you talk to a lender, where the real estate agent can refer you to one, or if you need one, I can refer you to some too. Basically, it's a pre-approval. It's a pre-screen to your financials to see if you're worthy of a property. It doesn't mean you'll get fully approved, but more than likely it means you will get approved as long as everything checks out. You didn't lie on your application or anything like that. All right, so that's ultimately step number 4 is the pre-approval. Step number 5 is a selection. You need to go out and look for your home. My advice is try to stay proactive in this process. Don't just rely on a real estate agent to send you properties. Go out on Zillow, go out on Redfin, go out on Trulia. Actually look for properties. If you're looking to buy a property, spend at least 15 minutes a day, and that's being extremely conservative. Spend at least 15 minutes a day looking for properties if you're in the home buying process. All right, 15 minutes a day looking for properties. This is based on your own preference. Remember, don't try to get too picky. This is not one of those games. I know it's a big investment, but we're concerned more about cash flow than anything here. All right. And always do your research. Always do your own research. Search for your own properties. Don't just rely on a real estate agent to find you properties. I know that's part of their jobs, but don't just rely on that alone. Have an idea of what you want. Remember, this is your investment property. All right, so just keep that in mind. And usually, I mean, this was really back then, but they say that it's best to buy during winter months. But honestly, remember, there's never a wrong time to buy real estate. Honestly. So just keep that in mind. Spring does get a little more expensive, but you also have more options on the market. So remember, step 5, you got to select your property. Step 6, you make an offer. This is where you put in an offer. Don't try to get cheap. If it's listed for $380, don't try to come in at $360. It's a very competitive market out there right now, especially for 4 units and below. The type of buildings we buy, 20 and above, 20 units and above, doesn't get too competitive. So we can play around with the seller a little bit, but not too much, of course. But 4 units, they're pretty hot right now. So with that being said, don't try to lowball it. Maybe 5 or 10 below, that's cool to give yourself some wiggle room. And always ask for a closing credit, $5,000 minimum. Always ask for a closing credit from the seller. Right? So you can come in at the offer price and then basically do a closing credit to reduce the amount of money you have to come out of pocket. All right, so just keep that in mind. So you have to make an offer. And remember, it's price versus value here. The value of the building is what you're concerned about. The value of the cash flow, how much money is going to come into your bank account every month, is what you're concerned about. Don't get cheap when it comes to this part of the process. You've done all this work to go out and look for properties, to hunt for deals and all that stuff. Now's not the time to take a step back and get cheap, right? You want to make a nice, sizable offer that's going to be compelling. I would say if you're offering at the price, you're more than likely going to get the property. And build relationships with agents too. It's very important to build relationships as well. So what happens here is you make your offer. They can either accept, counter offer, or decline the offer. Accept, counter offer, or decline. If they accept, you're good to go. You turn in earnest money, which is a deposit on the home. If they make a counter offer to say, hey, your price is too low, but here's what we're offering you, you can accept it, or you can make a counter offer. And then you turn in earnest money. If it's declined, you go to the next property. Real simple. Hopefully your offer will be accepted, and then moves you to the last step of the process, which is that's when the gates of heaven open up, basically. That's when you go to closing, basically. This is the closing process. It is the most stressful step, though, because now you have the property, you've done the pre-approval, you found the property you want. Now you basically are going to the closing table, right? Now you're going to the closing table. And just as a reminder, for those who are listening live, this is recorded. So you can watch it at any time on Facebook Live. My Facebook page, Instagram page. Thank God we were able to restart the IG. So I'll be posting this on my IG Live. So you can rewatch this at any time. Take notes. Don't wait. This is, as soon as this is over with, you can literally rewatch it. If you're not taking notes, there's no reason to watch this right now, to be honest. Anything you're doing in life, by the way, always take notes, right? Always take notes. So just keep that in mind. So you move into the closing phase. So basically, once you get your offer accepted, you have to do an inspection on the home to see if there's anything wrong with it. And then you eventually have to do an appraisal, which the lender orders for you on your behalf. Closing takes at a minimum a month. So it takes a month. As a matter of fact, we're closing on a building right now, and it's taken 3 months. We've been in the closing process for 3 months, basically. So it does require some patience, but this is the golden step right here. This is step 6 in the process. You do have to be patient. Lender's going to ask you for some additional documents to make sure that you are who you are and you're making the income that you're making, they're just going to be very, very nosy. To be quite frank, some of that questions they ask, I think it's nonsense in my opinion. Like there's no reason for them to be asking certain types of questions, but for compliance sake, they, from my perspective, lenders are more checking the box folks. They like to check boxes basically. So even if something doesn't make sense, they still have to check that box. And I'm like, thank God that's not in my world. Well, there are some tax laws that don't make sense, right? But there's at least some sort of logic behind it. So basically with this, please make sure whatever money they said you would be putting down, make sure it's live and liquid in the bank. You can always get a gift to cover the down payment, but don't rely on that. If you told a lender you have $15,000 to put down, make sure that $15,000 is secured and in the bank. This is not the time to be playing around with that money. It's the time to keep it secured for a month until you close, and then after closing, you can do whatever you want with the money. Me personally, I had to pull out a few times during the closing process, just because it basically, for example, when I was in the process of buying my first condo, it turns out that somebody owned over 50% of the building, so now we had to come up with 25% down payment. Ouch, right? Instead of the 5% that I was promised using a conventional loan. So I had to pull out. I didn't have enough money at the time. Nowadays, all we put down is 25% because we do big apartment buildings on the south side of Chicago at 20 units and above, $1 million or more in acquisition price. We don't touch anything that's less than that. So basically with that, at that game, at that level, you have to put down 25% or more. Whether it's your own money, somebody else's money, whatever it is, you got to put down 25%. But remember, today you can buy your first investment property with as little as 3.5% down payment, and I'm showing you the step-by-step process to going ahead and completing that. All right, so with that being said, to every real estate transaction, you have a few parties. You have the buyer, which is you. You have the buyer's agent or the realtor, the buyer's attorney or the lawyer, the buyer's lender, the buyer's appraiser. Then you have the seller. You have the seller's attorney. You have the seller's realtor. And then you have the lender's appraiser. So that's about 10 or so people to one transaction. So it is a pretty serious process. It's a lot of people involved. But it is worth it, in my opinion. It is completely worth it. You should go out and buy your first investment property you haven't already. Check out the resources on my website, jeffbadu.com. Check out my Infinite Wealth course, which can also be found on jeffbadu.com. It's something that you just have to get educated. You have to get knowledgeable. And there's over 100 hours of education on that website I just told you about, jeffbadu.com, that can teach you for free on this topic. Yeah, there's certain things you might have to pay for, but most of the content on the page is actually free in the form of blogs, videos, podcasts, all the radio shows that I do. They get archived and they go into my podcast, which is free, and you can get that on my website, jeffbadu.com. So let's recap the 6 steps. Step 1, know your credit score. Try to keep it at 600 or above. Step 2, know your debt to income ratio. Try to keep that below 40%. Step 3, get a real estate agent who can help you start the process of finding a home. Step 4, find a lender who's going to get you the money to buy the home. Step 5, actually select the property, put in an offer. If you're not putting in offers, you're not doing anything. Put in an offer, and then go ahead and go into closing. Right? Go ahead and go into closing, where it will require final documentation, and then you actually go to the closing table and they hand you the keys to the property. So all in all, the home buying process can be a bit stressful, but what good thing in life is easy? I mean, what good thing has happened in your life that was easy? Right? So this is a good thing, but it's not easy. What I'm telling you right now is not easy. Is it doable? Absolutely. Absolutely is doable. I started my real estate journey back in 2016. And as of 2021, we're at 102 units. Right? We started in 2016. 5 years later, 102 units. Generating over $100,000 a month in income. Right? So is it doable? Absolutely. It's very, very doable. When is the best time to buy? It's right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. It's right now. It's today. Go out on the market. Talk to an agent. Look at your credit score on Credit Karma. Look at your debt to income ratio. Run some numbers. Do something today. Don't just sit there and listen to this information. It means nothing if you're not taking action. It means absolutely nothing. And we got a question. How do you get renters? Well, what you can do is first of all, you should get a property manager who's going to take care of getting you tenants into the building. The buildings we buy, they already come with renters, so no need to worry about that. These 4 units I'm talking about, they come to you with renters already in there. No need to worry about that. But you can post on sites like Craigslist. You can do Facebook. I don't know if you know about Facebook Marketplace, but you can actually post an ad on there for free. Let's see where else. You can talk to your network and see if there's someone who's looking to rent. So these buildings, they come with tenants. They're turnkey. Turnkey means I'll hand you the key and you start making money from day one. Turnkey, literally. Turnkey properties. No renovations required on what I'm talking about here. No dealing with contractors and none of that. 203K loans, no. I'm talking you're buying a 4-unit building that already has tenants and it's fixed up and you can get approved for an FHA loan, and from day one you make money on the property. As a matter of fact, you might even recoup all your down payment within the first 2 months of owning this property. You know, I bought a 4-unit building last year and basically the down payment was $10,000. At the closing table, I got a check for $5,000, which was the first month's rent of the tenants. So what all did I need? I just needed $5,000 more to recoup my investment, which has long since been recouped. Right? That was back when we were buying 4 units. Nowadays, we don't touch 4 units. We touch nothing but 20 plus units on the south side of Chicago at $1 million or above purchase price. You know, we've just upgraded the criteria to make it more concrete as to what we're looking for. You know, and to just make it more, there's also less competition in the game of the 20 plus unit buildings. There's not a whole lot of people looking for 20 plus unit buildings, but there's more people looking for 4 units. Not saying don't buy a 4 unit. You got to start somewhere. I am saying start with a 4 unit. All right. And remember, I do have my website, which is jeffbadu.com. Free financial education. There are some paid items on there too. So feel free to check that out. All the videos. There's literally over 100 hours worth of content on that website for free. I kid you not. Go on the website right now, jeffbadu.com. People are like, oh, what do I do next? I'm like, it's not as hard as you think. First of all, rewatch this video. Take some notes. Go on the website. Start talking to real estate agents. Start talking to a lender. Start looking for properties on Zillow, Redfin. It takes real work to do this stuff. You can't just do this by sitting on your couch all day. Right? It takes real work. It takes hustle. It takes some grind. It takes some proactiveness to actually go out and buy that first property. Is it easy? No. But is it doable? Yes, it is. Is it hard? No, it's not hard. Is it easy? It's not. It's not hard, though. It's very, very doable. And I do strongly encourage you to check out the Infinite Wealth course, which is also on my website, jeffbadu.com, where we teach you the 3-step wealth building process, which involves, of course, my beloved real estate. Right? So just keep that in mind. And tomorrow night, we're having a webinar from 6 to 7 p.m. Central on going to college student debt free. So if you got kids or if you are looking to go to college, we're teaching a way to go to college student debt free. That's going to be on Zoom. The flyer is already posted on my social media pages, so all the details are on there. And I'll leave you with this note. You'll most likely thank your future self for buying this investment property. This is an opportunity to build wealth on a massive level, a way you've probably never known before, and build passive income. That's the name of the game. What happens when you get sick tomorrow and you can't work? Let's say you're a business owner. You don't have any type of insurance. You don't have life insurance. You don't have disability insurance. You don't have anything. Well, what happens if you don't have passive income or your income stops? When you have passive income, your income will never stop. Whether you're sick, whether you are at work, wherever you are, passive income flows in. You know, we just got some checks today from the government. And I was like, man, this is beautiful. We just closed on a 25-unit building a few months ago. And it takes a while for the government programs to transfer over. And, I mean, floodgates, right? The floodgates of heaven opened up. And I'm like, this is why I love this game of real estate. I mean, I love it. I love the tax world. I love the CPA and all that. But, man, real estate, that's the name of the game, the cash flow game. Real estate is where it's at. If you knew what I knew right now, you'd be going out to buy every property you can think of. And if you truly paid attention today and listened to what I was saying, you'd go out and try to buy some properties right now, like literally right now as we speak. I mean, why wouldn't you? What's holding you back? Money? I just shared a few weeks ago that there's down payment assistance programs that cover your down payment in full. So what's your excuse? Time? You don't have time to make money? Well, what do you have time to do then? You know, watch TV? I mean, what do you have time to do if you don't have time to go out and buy real estate? So just keep that in mind. To every excuse, there's always a rebuttal. It's nothing but an excuse. People say, I don't have money to buy real estate. I don't have the time to go out and look for properties. What in the world do you have time to do? It's crazy. I look at properties every day. At least 30 minutes. Every single day. Sometimes I even look at 4 units, just for fun. Some people say, oh, there's not a lot of 4 units out there. I'm like, well, here you go. I just found one for you. So always understand you got to play the game right. And you just have to, sometimes you just got to go do it. Like, watch the videos, get the knowledge and education you need, but sometimes you just got to go do it. That's all it is sometimes. You just got to go do it sometimes. So don't just sit back and relax and just listen to this information. Take some action. Do something. So with that, we're out of time. I thank you all for tuning in to my show, my show Money Talks on WJHC LP 98.3 FM, Chicago. You can always listen to us live on WGHCradio.org. Once again, that's WGHCradio.org. We have a newsletter on that page, too, you can subscribe to. And then we are a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. So anything you donate on the website, to the website, you actually get a tax deduction, a tax write-off for that. So with that, I do want to thank you all for listening and tuning in to my show, Money Talks, where all we talk is money. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. So thank you.
Have I gone crazy?